Good morning! Welcome back to my channel. We are preparing for October. My planner of choice is the Passion Planner. I used to use the physical Passion Planner, but I started using the digital Passion Planner in late 2022 and I have been enjoying it so much. As someone with chronic wrist pain, I really appreciate that the digital planner allows me to copy and paste stuff that stays the same month to month, week to week, and I'm not having to write as much. Personally, I use the digital Passion Planner in my iPad Air. This is the Passion Planner. I like that the Passion Planner encourages you to identify all of your goals, a game changer that's going to have the most positive impact on your life, and incorporate all of that into your weekly routine. The Passion Planner also encourages you to do a monthly reflection, and I like to do that before I identify any of my goals for the month. Personally, because of my wrist pain, I take the template from the Passion Planner and I put it in my notes app so that I can just dictate my responses and give my wrists a break. I completed my monthly reflection. I'm not going to show you a few things that I just feel are a little personal and not super relevant to goal setting, but there are a few questions from the monthly reflection that I really do make sure guides me in my next month goals. I pay close attention to how I felt about how I spent my time last month and the specific actions that I identified that I can take to improve more next month. So in this reflection, I identified that I wanted a higher variety of movement, more deep cleans, and more dates with my husband. I also said that I wanted to address more of the to-dos on my list that I'd been ignoring, and I also want to prepare more for the next day so I can be better on time for work. I'm going to keep all of those in mind as I create my goals and habits for October. At the start of each month, Passion Planner encourages you to come up with a game changer that's going to have the most positive impact on your life. I think what they want you to do is say, I want to improve my health. And then from there, you identify the specific things that you can do to do that, such as eating healthier, exercising, getting good sleep, things like that. For me personally, I have a difficult time identifying one specific thing because I have so many things that I want to do all the time. So for me personally, my game changer is to better balance all of those little tasks. By spreading out those tasks throughout the week and making a point to do some of them on my lunch break, I should be able to make progress in all of the domains. I personally like to identify habits that I want to be incorporating daily, multiple times a week, weekly, whatever. I've found that by tracking these, I'm just more likely to do them. Usually I include habits that I'm having difficulty doing regularly, and then once they're more incorporated into my routine, I can mark them off. For example, I used to put in that I wanted to read every day or that I wanted to edit multiple times a week. But at this point, I already read every day and I already edit every day, so I don't really need to be tracking that anymore. Instead, I want to put in more of the habits that I'm having some difficulty with. This will serve not only as a reminder, but also as a motivation, because it's really nice to mark them off every day and it doesn't feel so good to say that you didn't do it. I identified the habits that I want to work on in October. I want to be getting in daily movement, but I do want to make sure that I'm doing HIIT at least once a week, Pilates at least once a week, and then the rest can be walks. I also want to make sure that I'm doing a daily tidy. So cleaning up after myself, just making sure that I'm not leaving around messes. 5 days a week, I want to make sure that I'm prepping for the next work day. 3 times a week, I want to be making sure that I'm taking my lunch. Technically, I should be taking my lunch 5 days a week, but it has been really hard, so I think it's okay to start out small. And then the rest of the things, I want to make sure that I just do at least once weekly. I want to make sure that weekly I'm checking in on our budget. I want to make sure that I'm writing a love note for Jordan. I've spoken about that in other videos. It's just a fun thing that I like to do. I also want to make sure that I'm deep cleaning weekly because just tidying isn't really enough. I want to make sure that I am picking a specific to-do item that's been sitting on my to-do list for a while to get that done. I want to make sure that Jordan and I are going on a date each week. And I want to make sure that I am backing up my MacBook each week. Now it's time to open up my planner and set it up for the month. One thing that's really cool about the digital Passion Planner is that it is decently easy to modify it. This is how it looks normally by default, but let me show you how I modified it in September to better meet my needs. There are a few specific things that I changed. I don't really like having the personal and work focuses just because I don't use this for work. I really try to keep work-life balance, so I don't really want a lot of work stuff in my planner. So instead, I focus on what is the thing that I'm going to do that month to improve my health, because that is important to me, and what habit is really important to me this month. And then also, I don't really look at the monthly spread that often because I feel like the weekly spread works better for me. So for the monthly spread, I just use it to make sure that my bills are paid and that I've transferred everything to each account that I need to. So you can see that I've set this up to help me track every single bill that I have and all of the places that my husband and I do transfers right now. Honestly, it was kind of a lot of work to do this, so instead of having to redo it from scratch every month, I have it saved in the blank section of the Passion Planner as a template, and then I can just bring that over to the next month like this. It's a little hard to line up perfectly, but it works pretty well. From here, I'm going to write in my monthly focus, the people I want to see, the places I want to go, and the things that I want to learn. I chose that my most important habit is to take my lunch break. There's a few reasons for that. Biggest is because if I take my lunch break, I'm actually more likely to be able to do all the other habits and things that I'm trying to do, because that is an hour every single day to be being productive. I do want to be careful to say that while I definitely do emphasize productivity because that's something that's important to me, resting is important too, but by being productive on my lunch break, that means I will finish the things that I need to do after work, and I won't have to spend as much time in the evening when I could be resting, being productive. After that, I write down my game changer for the month. Once I'm all set up for the month, I move into the weekly spread. I think it's a really important step because it's really easy to say, this is what I want to accomplish this month, but if you don't incorporate that into your weekly routine, you might not really make much progress. So again, I'm going to copy and paste a template specific for my weekly spread. I start with my habit tracker because those are the things that should be guiding my week apart from obligations like working. I can track up to 10 habits a week, which I identified already. As you can see, I can track up to 10 habits a week. Once I have all my habits written in and how often I want to be doing them, I can mark those off throughout the week. And then at the end, I can say how well I did. I really like this, not only because it reminds me of the things that I want to be doing, but I also feel motivated to make sure that I'm marking them off. From there, I like to plan my week. As you can see, I don't really like to plan based on time. I do put in when I'm working, but otherwise I prefer just to have a to-do list for each day. I found that this allows me to have a little bit more freedom and in turn feel a little bit less stressed. So instead, I basically just write down what I hope to get done that day, and I do put them in the order that I hope to do them in. When it comes to planning what I need to do within the week, I definitely want to start by putting in the days that I plan to wash my hair. Personally, because of my wrist pain, I wouldn't want to plan certain activities on the same day that I'm going to wash my hair, so I'm going to put that in before I incorporate any other tasks. So again, I want to make sure that each day I'm incorporating habits from my habit tracker. So I'm going to write down each habit, the number of times that I want to do it that week, so that I can make sure to incorporate it enough times. Once I've got everything written down the right number of times, it's basically like a word bank. So now I can drag each individual habit to the day that I want to make sure that I do it in. I'm also going to be mindful of the order that I would want to do these in. So for example, on the days that I'm going to wash my hair, I do want to be doing a heavier workout that day because obviously. I decided to put in the lunch break every single work day just because I can't really pre-plan what day I'm going to do it on because it's really dependent on what my work day looks like. But I'd rather have it written in as a reminder that, this is something that I should prioritize because really I should be doing it 5 days a week anyway. So I just put in all of the things that I want to make sure that I'm doing every day, but I do still have the list of the things that I only do once a week. So I have to decide what days it makes sense to do those on. Now that I've outlined everything that I want to do each day, I want to make sure that it's organized in the order I hope to do it in. I've incorporated all of the habits into my week. Obviously, I put my lunch break in because that happens during the work day and most other stuff would happen after work. I did consider putting some of the specific tasks right next to my lunch break because I could potentially do them during my lunch break, but it really depends on the task and whether or not it's something that can really be done in the office because I am in the office 4 days a week. I always put exercise closer to the top of the list because it is something that I want to make sure that I get done as soon as I get home. I definitely do not like the idea of sitting down, kind of getting into an activity and then having to stop to go and exercise because I know myself well enough to know that that just isn't going to fly. But I did my best and I think that this is going to be okay. And that's about it. For me personally, I find that writing down all the habits and then specifically scheduling them on different days of the week really helps me to not put things off and actually make the progress that I want to. Thank you for coming to plan with me. I hope that you learned something new. I highly recommend the Digital Passion Planner. I think that different planners work for different people, but what I like about the digital one is that it can be modified to better work for you. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.